Please welcome CEO of athenahealth, Jonathan Bush.
Go! Go, Johnny, go! Go! Go, Johnny, go! Go! Go, Johnny, go! Go! Wow! Wow, wow, wow! 2011, we started the marketplace at athenahealth. MDP, more disruption, please. There should be more innovation, entrepreneurship, venture capital in healthcare. At the time, 2011, VentureWire said that $891 million had been spent investing in digital and healthcare IT high-tech startups. That's the bar tab at HLTH a mere 8 years later. This is very exciting to me. And so in honor of this auspicious opportunity to speak to you all at this exciting new event, I have done actual homework, actual research, and prepared slides specifically for this occasion, which means that I will absolutely mess this up in a profound way. Hopefully you'll get some entertainment value out of it and maybe one or two real things to write down and do. I want to talk about physician capability. I want to talk about, I have said many times that I do think that this internet thing will be a big deal in healthcare at some point, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that this physician thing is also important too. And I think we are losing that physician thing in a pretty interesting and stunning in its pace kind of way, and I've been studying, all of us at athenahealth have been studying how to reverse that trend. So I want to give you a framework, I want to give you some things to think about, and hopefully I'll be back, God willing, I'll be back next year to update the research. First, a little bit about me. My first job in healthcare was driving this ambulance with that guy. I'm the one on the right. 6 at night to 6 in the morning in the New Orleans Health Department. And some mornings I would drive home from work just inspired, adrenalated, ready for the next day, constantly imagining what would happen. And other days I was frankly burned out. And what I found the correlation to be was my run sheet. I would look through on the burned out days and the exciting days alike, what was it that I had done the night before? And on the burnout days, not a lot. There was a code name that the dispatcher used, cabulance, meaning you're going to go and do a call that is coming in as a heart attack and is going to act a lot like a taxi cab ride. And then there were others where there was no question that had we not been there, there would have been a dying of the light. And that moment, and what we found is about 2 or 3 a night was all it took. There were 6 ambulances in the city. We did about 12 runs each. If 2 of them really mattered, it was a great day. If more than that, we were over the moon, almost manic. So when I read on Mayo's research that showed that 54% of physicians were reporting symptoms of burnout in their survey, I thought, geez, that's a big deal. It's a big deal to Athena, which profits in lockstep with the profits and the destiny of physicians.
I think burnout is not necessarily just because of the job, but it's because people don't feel their worth. When people come to work and feel like they're a robot, that they're not being appreciated, respected, that they don't get the chance to improve matters, that's when burnout occurs. I don't think burnout is because of being overworked. I think a lot of people will work 16 hours a day in something they love, in which they feel their worth.
These were the things that people wrote about coming out of the Mayo research. Oh, too much bureaucracy, overwork, constant change, all these things. And I thought, okay. But there's got to be a framework of doing something about this besides keynotes. And so we used Hippocrates, which I hope you all have heard of, and if you haven't, please download immediately. And we pulsed. We said, docs, give me 3 answers. Are you going to recommend this place you work to someone you love? Are you feeling like you should go above and beyond the call of duty in your role? And do you plan to be there in 3 years? And if they gave us a 5 or 6 out of 5, we said, great, you're engaged. Engagement's not the thing. And if not, we said, okay, there's the place to go and look. And 63%, not so much. And so we have embarked on a series of studies, correlations between the tasks that we see in AthenaNet, the web logs, surveys, interviews, such as the one you saw. We are building an ecosystem around this question, which we hope all of you will use to take on this challenge. One thing we thought is, hey, maybe they're just bummed out because they're more efficient now because they work for a corporation, because they've sold their practice to a hospital system or a for-profit entity of some kind, and they just don't like it that they're having to be more productive. It's interesting, except that they're not more productive. Those groups that sold out appear to be less productive, adding to our healthcare system list of accomplishments the idea of actually accomplishing negative economies of scale. Physician-owned group practices produce almost twice as much as those who are owned by a healthcare system. Like, wait a minute. Even by specialty, it's like across the board. So it's not that. So we worked with the groups at Harvard Business School, Len Schlesinger, one of my favorite professors, who came up with the notion of the service value chain here in Vegas. Most of these hotels are managed, their managerial economic systems work against something called the service value chain, which evaluate and match resources, the stuff, the money, the support behind the worker, the tools that they have, and the latitude that each service worker has to make calls, to have power. And the correct combination of these three things is referred to in service management parlance as capability. IKEA has an idea of capability, right? I'm going to give you the tools, that little tube of glue and that little Allen wrench, and the resources, that weird fold-out piece of paper, and you're going to have the latitude to make your chair. And for some people, it works. For some people, that's just the right combination. That's an example. But let's go through the docs. Let's look at resources, let's look at tools, and let's look at latitude. First, resources. There's a lot of resources behind docs. Docs have increased their total role in the spend of healthcare a little bit, a fair amount, over the last 30 years or 40 years, but not as much as the resources supporting them. Why? What's going on? Well, obviously, we've had a lot of things that we've done around physician care in order to protect the consumer, in order to ensure quality. And those things have required a lot more administrative tasks. And so despite this enormous increase in the number of administrative resources associated with physician practice, you still see physicians in our web logs using about 4 to 8 hours a week doing non-clinical documentation. So maybe that blue line should be even steeper. Why? Well, interesting thing about medicine, it's the only major sector of our economy with no demand curve. If the consumer doesn't like it, nobody loses market share. If you lower your price, you don't gain market share. The customer isn't always right because the customer isn't directly paying. And so we, as a conscientious, and we do that for all of the right super ego reasons. We want to protect the consumers from our public from some huge expense, some huge vulnerability. And so we disintermediate them between them and their care in order to provide a financial cushion. But that financial cushion creates a tectonic plate that we must then fill in with our best efforts at the things that the demand curve used to do. So we say, we come up with measures and systems for protecting privacy, measures and systems for protecting service, measures and systems for protecting quality, measures and systems for protecting cost. They are all blunt approximations of what would happen if the consumer was consuming. But anyway, it's the best we can do for where we are right now. It doesn't end the conversation. It's just the challenge, the unique and wonderful challenge that we face in medicine. Let's look at the next one. Tools. One of our videos, I'm not going to tell you which one, is one that we use internally to get people excited about our challenges. This is another video.
I know I'm not on your system.
Well, that's why we're calling.
That's why I'm calling. Well, if we could get the results.
Well, then I wouldn't have to run the test again.
We wouldn't have to redo it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, we're not on that system. So, if I could... Well, if we could get...
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'll hold.
Forget it.
Oh, I love this song.
If you ask Dr. Strings and all the other physicians we interviewed following up on that survey, what's your biggest tool problem? They'll say, I don't have interoperability. My tech doesn't work with their tech. Everybody we work with talks about this idea. If it doesn't work to give me more information than I already had, all it's doing is kind of slowing down the process by which I capture the information I already know. That's a bad tool. It makes me go slower in order to know less. And lots of people have solved that problem by saying, well, let's make everybody use the same tool. Let's drive down the number of tools, and maybe that way the information will be more liquid. Whatever it is, that notion of tools that work, that give the doctor more power with their strokes of activity rather than less, more knowledge, more control, drive up engagement, and those that do the opposite drive down. And by the way, the idea that we should have fewer tools is such a bad idea. There are not a finite number of tools that you use on the internet. There are not a finite controlled number of apps that you can download on the App Store so that the data will work together. This is not a new problem. This idea of having a platform that allows lots and lots and lots of ideas to tap into the same bandwidth of information. This thing has been solved 100 times. So then why not here yet? Ironically, one reason may be that it's illegal. So in every other industry vertical, if somebody collects information that is valued by someone else, they're allowed to kind of sell it. They're allowed to get paid by the receiver of the information for the information they want. If you walk up to the wrong bank machine, it used to be like you had to make sure that it was the right logo on the bank machine. Remember that? And then finally it's like they all figured it out. And it's not your bank. That bank machine owner can charge a kickback to your bank and give that bank that's not in front of you the full experience of having a cash machine wherever you may be. Mortgage underwriters and mortgage originators have this experience. Auto parts makers and auto manufacturers have this experience. Stock brokers and the Depository Trust Corporation and custody agents have this experience. Because in those industries, it is not considered a kickback to get payment to electronically deliver information. Funny thing. Now, lots of things are happening where maybe that obstacle will melt away a little bit, and we're already seeing hope. Third one is latitude. Power, freedom. In this last 8 years, physicians have lost a lot of latitude.
If you look at medicine and surgery in general, I think we're going through an enormous culture change.
What we're seeing in healthcare concerning consolidation is sort of a mega trend in all of society when you look at Amazon and Walmart and everything, and we're just in that societal trend right now.
Medicine historically has been a committee of one, where the physician is trained to independently make decisions and act upon those decisions. 30 years ago, everybody did it their own way, but now we have data and evidence that indicates that things need to be uniform.
So some of this may be good, right? It's like, sorry, dude, the Dartmouth study worked and you were out of line, right? There was too much variability. Maybe they don't like that. But also, there was a lot of stuff that doctors did in the course of their day that included latitude, that went away when they sold their practice. They were a little bit like that guy who had his own lawn mowing service. You know, I am the master of all I survey. I can hire a new MA if I think I could go faster. I can fire someone who I think delivers bad service. I can count the boring visits, the dollar by dollar value, in order to motivate myself till I get to that next truly sick patient. If we are going to pull away, and it may make a lot of sense to pull away that kind of latitude, we must then replace it with some other place that latitude is both useful and satisfying among physicians, to replace that level of engagement in career. If you look inside the inbox of physicians, and if you look inside their calendars, which I do all the time as an obsession, you will find lots of stuff for which you might not imagine needing to go to 10 or 15 years of advanced study to accomplish. If we are to engage physicians, we must find ways to suction that stuff out of the dance card and replace it, fill it with things for which that moment of dopamine rush that physicians enjoy, because they actually made the call. They looked and made a judgment and moved and delivered value in life. If we don't refill the calendar with those moments, we are both financially and socially going to bankrupt that category. And we will make them all feel like employees of United Airlines who all followed the rules and still ended up with a non-stellar service experience. Couldn't help it. I just described the why, right? We are trying to corporatize. We are trying to organize. It's not working right now. We are not getting economies of scale. We are getting diseconomies of scale. We are not getting happier people. We are getting less happy people. And I argue that if we got the resources and tools and got back the piece of the dance card that had lost latitude, new latitude, we will get it back. We will get economic benefit back. I'll give you my own example of this. Not my proudest moment, but athenahealth a couple years ago rolled out a new electronic medical record experience that was better than the old one. It made doctors 11% more productive. They used 23% less of their day going through their inbox, and all the alpha and beta testers liked it a lot more. So we jammed it. We rolled it out to 100% of the user base of athenahealth. We had a 200% increase in service calls and a 50% decrease in net promoter score. Like, wait a minute, it's better. Yeah, but not this, and yeah, but not that, and yeah, but I didn't choose it. Sometimes even world peace, when crammed down another's throat, doesn't feel that good. So from my own experience, our next EMR, and by the way, you're all invited to write EMRs on athenahealth's stack. We don't believe that the world should be a 1 EMR, 2 EMR, 10 EMR, 2,000 EMR world. It's in the App Store. It's connected to our APIs. It's there if you want it. And we'll see who adopts it. And if those product managers are attractive and sexy and fun with what they produce, there'll be more use. And if not, someone else will be there. That is how I see latitude playing out in those of us who are entrepreneurs and servers of physicians. So there it is. Resources, tools, latitude. We did find a few doctors who actually who were employed by health systems and who answered in the affirmative to our 3 questions. And here's what we also found. They produced a lot more value. They produced significantly more RVUs per day, and they liked their job. That is a silver lining where I come from.
What is your greatest hope for the field of medicine?
Well, everybody has to realize what they're doing is worthwhile. One of the great joys of medicine is that we're a team, we're collaborative.
My biggest hope in medicine is that we are going to get better technology and we're going to be able to have more quality time with our patients.
I'm hopeful that they'll just keep that energy and run with it and hopefully find innovative ways to improve our efficiency and what we can do for the patients themselves.
In medicine, the recovery of the patient, that's what the glory is, and the joy of seeing the team feel like they each contribute to that.
We all aspire to be part of something larger and more important than ourselves. So do these people, and so too can we if we lend ourselves to these people. Thank you guys, and have a great HLTH.
Thank you, Jonathan.